Sense how everything releases back towards the spine with your exhalation. So nothing to do but simply notice your breath. Thoughts will pop in and out of the mind, and that's okay. You can greet the thoughts and then return your attention to your breath. Notice if your belly expands with breath, noticing if your chest lifts with breath. You may sense your side ribs expand, and some folks can even feel the breath in your back body. And then just for yourself, give yourself inside your mind a 2-word check-in. How are you feeling? Work closer with the breath, moving into a balancing breath by inhaling for 3 counts and exhaling for 3 counts. If you have a clear nasal passage today, work with the breath in and out the nose, otherwise obviously out the mouth. I'll do a couple rounds with you and then you'll just continue to work with this breath on your own. We'll begin together, inhaling 3 and exhale 3. Inhale 3. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale. Continue in this way for just 1 minute. Count the breath in your mind. 1, 2, 3 as you take a breath in. 1, 2, 3 as you take a breath out. Release thoughts as they arise and return to the breath. Good. 3 more rounds of the balancing breath. With your next exhalation, release the breath cycle and just come back to the natural rhythm of your own breathing. Mentally affirm, I am at peace within myself. And gently reopen the eyes. If you rolled up that little bit underneath your buttocks, then just kind of unravel that. We're going to do some hip circles, so palms can be facing down in the knees. Just begin to circle the torso up towards your feet and round back towards your hips. And for this, you're going to create the pace and rhythm that feels best to your body. If you want to move faster than I am or slower, this is for you. Beginning to open up our hip flexors and our low back and sacrum. Good. The next time you come up towards your feet, reverse directions, opposite way. Returning back to center. Moving into a cat-cow flow, we'll keep the hands at the knees. Take a deep breath in. With your exhalation, we'll tuck the chin towards the chest as we arch back to cat back. Press the spine behind you. And then inhale, tilt the pelvis forward, heart comes forward, look to the ceiling and cow spine. Exhale back to cat back. And inhale into cow spine. So continue in this way with the spinal flex, opening up the spine and giving a little boost to the immune system. Move with the breath. Good. 3 more here. Last one. Coming back up to center. Morning. So gaze down to your legs. We're going to bring the opposite one in front. So take a moment to just shake out your knees a little bit. And then bring that opposite leg in front. It might feel a little weird, but it's good for our hip flexors. We're gonna do some shoulder and neck work, so hands can just be alongside your hips. We're just gonna do some shoulder circles. So find that full rotation, your own shoulder girdle. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Good, reverse directions, opposite way. We're gonna go back to that first direction, doing single shoulder circles and kind of move the torso a little bit, opening up the trapezius and the thoracic spine. And then one more time the other direction. And release. We'll take the hands back to the hips, settle back to your sits bones. Find that nice tall spine. You can imagine you've got a little string being tugged from the crown of the head. We're going to inhale the shoulders up to the ears and then just let them go as we exhale. Take a deep breath in and release. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Then take the shoulders back to the ears, roll them behind you, and soften down the back body. Keep shoulders behind you. We'll take palms facing down back to your knees, and then exhale the left ear to the left shoulder. Inhale gently back to center. Exhale to the right. Inhale back to center. Exhale, take the chin to the chest. Inhale back to center. Exhale, gaze up to the ceiling. Inhale back to center. Exhale, release the left ear to the left shoulder to hold. So tilt the ear to the shoulder rather than lifting your shoulder to meet the ear. Try to relax the jaw and the muscles in your face and take your mind to the breath. If you'd like to increase that stretch a little bit, you could extend your right arm out to the side, fingertips near the floor. Stay with your breath. Bring the hand back to the knee. If it's out to the side, we'll inhale the head gently back to center. Exhale at center here. Take another deep breath in, and with your exhale, right ear towards right shoulder. Nice deep breaths here. You can also reach that left side of the neck up towards the ceiling for a little isometric stretch. Lengthening the cervical spine. And then if you want to increase that stretch a little bit, you can take the left fingertips towards the floor, the low V. Good, hand comes back to the knee. Inhale back to center. Exhale, we'll take the chin towards the chest. And we're going to inhale the right ear towards the right shoulder. Exhale, sweep the chin towards the chest over to the other side, making a smile over the heart. And opening up the back of the neck. Good, one more to each side. Take the chin back towards the chest. Hang here for a couple of breaths. Reach the back of the skull to the ceiling and practice breathing up your back body. And then inhale the head back to center. Exhale, look up to the ceiling. We're going to do a smile in the sky, getting the top of the neck. So again, imagine a paintbrush at the end of the nose, painting an arch, a rainbow, or a smile in the sky. More to each side. And good. Bring the head back to center. Close the eyes if that's okay, or just casting the gaze down. We're going to take 3 integrating breaths. Try to bring your breath all the way up into the shoulders and the neck. Big inhale. Another nice deep breath. And one more full breath. Just take a moment. How do you feel in this moment? Good. Gently reopen the eyes. We're going to extend our legs out, shake out the knees again. And then we're going to take the right sole of the foot into the left inner thigh. So this knee might be higher in the air. If so, you could take your blanket out from underneath your bum and prop that knee if you need support here. We want to encourage the bent knee towards the floor and flex the foot of that extended leg so musculature on that side is engaged. We'll start with our hands alongside the hips. Again, find that nice tall spine, and we'll inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, reach to the crown as you hinge at the hips coming towards that extended leg. So the toes here are not the goal, just a lengthening in the back of your own leg. So your hands will be placed by the knee, the calf, the ankle. Maybe you take it to the ankles and the toes. We can look down to that knee of the extended leg to keep neck in alignment with the spine. And then begin to notice the lengthening in the hamstrings, inner thighs of the adductors. Keep encouraging that right knee towards the floor. And stay with your breath. Three more nice deep breaths. From here, we're going to transition towards a twist. So inhale, take the hands towards that front foot. Left hand's going to come to your right knee. Right hand's going to come behind you, looking over your right shoulder. So we're twisting towards your bent knee. That hand behind you, those fingertips can point away from your body. But stay on your sits bones rather than kind of leaning into that backhand. You kind of want to just use that arm like a little kickstand on a bike to keep the spine nice and tall. 2 more breaths. We're going to do just a little twist to the other side. So inhale the arms back overhead. Right hand will just come to the outer part of the left knee and just look to the left. Inhale back to center. Extend both legs out, shake out the knees again. And now we'll take that left sole of the foot into the right inner thigh. Again, bodies are balanced in different ways, so just see if you need any support for that left knee. Let's flex the foot of that right leg. Hands alongside your hips. We'll inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, reaching to the crown, hinging at the hips, coming to your other side. Placing hands wherever is comfortable. And here we can kind of let the upper body take shape of the pose. You can let the shoulders round here and let the head hang. Gazing down to your right knee as you encourage your left knee towards the floor. And then noticing the lengthening in the hamstrings and abductors on the side. Stay curious and compassionate about your body rather than criticizing in any way. Two more nice deep breaths. Good, we'll transition towards our twist to the other side. Inhale, take the hands beyond the front feet, back overhead. Right hand comes to your left knee, left hand behind you, twist towards the other side. Keep a flexion in the foot of your extended leg. And keep reaching to the crown of the head to continue to lengthen in your spine. 2 more deep, sweet breaths. And then little twist to the other side. Inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, left hand to the outer part of the right knee and just looking to the right. And then just shifting your torso back to center. Extend both legs out. And then we're going to do a wide-legged forward fold. So just taking it to that place that's comfortable, not where you're like doing a humongous stretch. It is a little earlier for bodies.
What we need by lengthening.
So we'll start with our hands alongside our hips. Find that nice tall spine first and settle back onto your sits bones. When we come back to the sits bones, core muscles engage, and that just creates a nice foundation for the body. So we're going to go to each leg, we're going to go to center, and then each side and come back to center. So let's inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, reach to the crown, hinging at the hips, coming towards center. So some of us may be way up here. It's okay. Some of you might be able to go flat. Doesn't matter how far you're going. You'll notice adductors beginning to lengthen in the groins and the hip flexors. If you have the flexibility, you could also maybe come down to your elbows. You could stack a couple fists on top of each other. So see what feels good to your body. And send some love to the adductors and hamstrings. I'm not an athlete and mine are saying, woohoo! Yeah, and this also really is a great stretch for the back body and the spine.
And then modify it to yourself.
And just know too that if you don't have a lot of time, as athletes, I think hamstrings and hip flexors are such a humongous part of your lengthening goals. So the longer you hold postures, the deeper the effect. So if you have 5 minutes, then do one forward fold or do this for 5 minutes instead of trying to get in a bunch of different postures. And that really gets into musculature, connective tissue, ligaments, tendons. That's the yin style of yoga. 3 more breaths. And then with your next exhale, walk your hands over to your right leg. Keep that left sits bone rooted to the floor though. Try not to lift that buttock off the floor. Gaze down to the knee to keep neck in alignment with the spine. Here we'll try to invite more of a flat back rather than rounding shoulders towards the legs. So keep your scapula, the shoulder blades on the back body, inviting your belly towards the thigh. Three more nice deep breaths. Good. With your next exhale, we'll walk all the way over to our left side. Rooting that right sits bone to the floor, let the shoulders come to the back body and more of a flat back. And gazing to the knee to keep neck in alignment with the spine. Mentally affirm, I am awesome at taking care of myself. One more nice deep breath. And then release back towards center. And you can keep arms extended. You could take hands to the ankles if you want to switch it up a teeny bit. Coming down to elbows is an option. So see what feels good for our return to the center. Three more breaths. Good. Walk the hands back towards the body. We'll gently use the hands to bring the legs back together. And we're going to transition to our hands and knees. I'm going to have my bum towards you because I'm recording. So we're going to come to table pose. Wrist under shoulders, knees under hips. If you have sensitivity in the wrists, you could take your hands to fists. You could also roll up the top of your mat to support underneath the heels of your hands if you need any of that support. And yeah, definitely have a little blanket underneath the knees. So cat-cow flow, we'll take a deep breath in. With your exhalation, arch up into cat back. Lift the belly button to the spine. We want to engage the core a little here in cat back. And then inhale into cow. Lift the tail, gazing up, and let the belly be soft. Exhale, arching up into cat back. Inhale into cow. Continue in this way, cat-cow flow. Opening up every part of the back body. Four more with a breath. Good, last one. And then come to cow pose. We're going to hold there a couple of breaths. So lift the tail and the eyes to the ceiling. Belly is towards the earth. And then exhale back up into cat back. Press belly button to the spine, back of the heart to the sky. And then we'll shift to Balasana, child's pose. So take a deep breath in. With your exhale, take the buttocks towards the heels, coming into child's pose. So forehead can come to the floor with your arms extended or alongside your body. And if the forehead doesn't reach, stack a couple hands on top of each other to rest the forehead upon. As best as you can, yielding all of your weight into the earth as you sink into the breath. You can widen the knees out a little bit if that would feel better to your hips. Child's pose is great to open up, again, the groin, the hip flexors, the adductors, low back. It also helps with insomnia if you are having a hard time falling asleep. So now we'll move into a cat-cow child's pose flow. So keep the arms extended out in front of you. With your next exhalation, press your bodies up into cat back. Inhale into cow, and exhale back to child's pose. Inhale here in child's pose. Exhale up to cat back. Inhale into cow, and exhale back to child's pose. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale here. Exhale, press up to balat to cat back. Inhale, cow. Exhale, child's pose. One last time. Inhale here in child's pose. Exhale up to cat back. Inhale, cow. And once again, come back to child's pose. This time, widen your knees out towards the side edges of the mat so you can get the hip flexors even more. And again, if arms are uncomfortable extended, stack a couple hands on top of each other. You could also just come to your elbows and let your head hang. Once you settle, then practice relaxing in your hips and your glutes. Two more breaths.
You roll them a little bit. You can get a little bit of a stretch in your groins too.
Like shifting back and forth?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Good addition, Coach Ray. All right, let's walk the hands back towards the body. We'll bring the knees back towards each other. We're gonna do a quick wrist stretch. So if you're okay to be on your heels, if not, you can be up on your knees or just kind of offset on a hip. Take fingertips together, rotate wrist around in circles.
This is a great stretch for your ankles too. And if you roll your toes under, it's a great stretch for the top of your feet.
Like this, here,
Yeah,
even.
roll your toes under here. And lean back in. It's a great stretch on the top of your feet. And exactly, if you don't stretch that.
Reverse directions with your wrists. Yeah, that's a good point.
And then when it gets intense, just go back on and then you'll get the fullness of the full stretch on your foot.
All right, we're gonna come back to hands and knees. And here we're working with the piriformis muscle in the glutes. So we're just gonna do knee lifts out to the sides. You're just gonna lift the right knee up towards hip and back down to the floor. If you can't come all the way up to the hip, that's all good. Just lifting a few inches off the floor. We're gonna do 10 on each side. Inhale as you lift and exhale back to the floor. 2 more on this right side. Good, and now we'll take that over to our left side. Inhale as you lift the knee, and exhale as you release back to the floor. This is also getting glute medius and minimus, and of course maximus in the glutes. But the piriformis can relate to sciatic discomfort in the back and the glute, so making sure to keep them strong and lengthened. I lost count, 3 more. All right, and release. We're gonna go back to that right side. We're gonna do the knee lift with the leg extension. So yeah, you might need to stagger with your neighbor. I didn't think of that part. So inhale, knee, and extend, and then exhale, bend the knee and bring it back to table. And we'll go side to side rather than sticking to one side at a time. Inhale, lift and extend. Exhale, bend and return. Left side. Let's do 1 more on each side. All right, when that feels complete, we're gonna take the knees wide to the side edges of the mat, come back to child's pose. Again, if forehead doesn't reach, stack a couple hands on top of each other. So we just strengthened all that musculature, and now we're re-lengthening the musculature. So that's best for the body. One more breath. And then walk your hands back towards the body, bring knees back towards each other. Another quick wrist stretch. This time interlace all your fingers, making figure eights with hands and wrists. And reverse directions. Feels weird, but good for the brain and the body. All right, coming back to table pose, we're gonna move into pigeon. So this is awesome for opening up hip flexor and that piriformis that we just lengthened and strengthened. So take your right knee towards your right thumb, and then inch out that left leg back behind you. Okay, so everyone's got different flexibility. Some of us might be higher in the air, that's all good, but you just wanna try to get down as far as you can. So we can stay here just to get settled. I'm gonna just face you for a moment. So the closer you have your ankle towards your pelvis is gonna decrease the intensity in the hip. If you wanna increase the intensity, then scoot that away from you. So see how that works for you. Try as best as you can to square your hips to the floor rather than kind of leaning onto that hip. Try to square your pelvis to the floor. Okay, and if this is really tight, do this every day. So stay up on your, say it again.
It's a great stretch for that.
It is a great stretch for, super great for athletes. So stay up on your hands if you need to. If not, kind of walk down to the elbows to increase that stretch a little bit. 2 fists on top of each other, rest the hands upon. So just take it, like be here for a few breaths, and then if you want to increase it, then you can go to another variation. But again, if it's super painful, then stay up on the hands rather than coming down to the elbows. You'll begin to notice as we're in it longer, things start to lengthen and the intensity should decrease a little bit. Yeah, this is getting hip rotators, hip flexors, and great for the quadriceps. One more breath here. So if you're at the elbows, come back up to your hands. Tuck the left toes under. We're gonna go to downward facing dog from here. Walk the dog, so alternate your heels as you bend each knee and really accentuate the hips out to the sides. And then we'll release walking the dog, hanging in down dog for a few more breaths. So we're pushing away from the mat through the heels of our hands as we lift our sits bones to the ceiling. Shins are coming slightly forward as your thighs are reaching back behind you. Lift the tail to the ceiling, so give a little tilt of the pelvis towards the ceiling. Feet are hips distance apart, so bring about 6 inches between your feet. Good, we'll take the knees back down to the floor. And then we're gonna move to pigeon to the other side. So left knee towards the left thumb. And inch back out that right leg back behind you. Top of the foot can come to the floor. You could walk the hands back towards your body just to kind of get situated, squaring your hips to the floor. When it's uncomfortable, right, we're gonna clench. So we're gonna like engage the muscles. Try to relax your hips and your glutes. And even practice, like clench that muscle and relax it. Just so you feel what it's like for it to be relaxed. And then if you are ready or you want to increase it a little bit, you can walk your hands further away from the body. Maybe you stay here for 4 breaths and then go down to elbows for 4 breaths. So just listen to your body, not taking it too far too soon. Once you settle into your pose, then practice relaxing in your hips. Breathing into places that feel tight or tense. Intend for your breath to go down into that hip. Stay with your breath. Three more nice deep breaths. right, so come back up to the elbows, so walk the hands back towards the body. We're gonna tuck the right toes under, coming back to downward facing dog. Walk the dog, alternate your heels as you bend each knee. So have about 4 to 6 inches between your feet. Press the ball of your index finger into the mat. So that ball of the index finger is creating the foundation for our upper body. So if anything, that's the main finger that's pressing into the floor. We'll release walking the dog, hanging down dog for a few more breaths. Let's bend the knees a little bit. When the heels don't touch, bend the knees, and that'll just kind of offset your hamstrings a little bit. And then begin to walk your feet towards your hands. We're coming into a standing forward fold. Again, bend the knees here. Good morning, hamstrings, we love you. Stay with your breath. Notice the lengthening in the back body. All right, from forward fold, we're gonna just sit down into a squat. So just take your bum towards the floor. Is everybody okay doing that? Okay, good job. Not everybody's heels may touch, and that's okay. If your heels are off the ground, that's just fine.
Modify it for your knees if you need it.
All right, let's come back to forward fold. Come back up, bring the bum back up. And then step back with your right foot. We're moving into a lunge. So let's take the right knee to the floor, top of the foot can come to the floor, and then take your hands to the top of the left knee. So if you need to, you could even make more padding underneath your kneecap if that's uncomfortable. Make sure your knee is underneath, your ankle is underneath your knee, just to keep that hip in nice alignment. And then we're gonna do a hamstring stretch. So we're gonna take our hands to our hips and just straighten that leg as you flex that foot. Okay, and then we're gonna flow with those two movements. Inhale into the lunge, take the hand to the knee, and exhale into the hamstring stretch. The hands can come back to the hips. Okay, so flow in this way with the breath. Obviously awesome for the hip flexors, but lunges should be your good friend also. Okay, one more flow. Now we're going to do a little twist, so take your right hand to the inner part of your left foot and extend your left arm to the ceiling. I have a shoulder injury, so I'm not going to extend my arm. Good, release that arm down. We're going to come back to downward facing dog, so tuck those right toes under. Bring your body back to down dog. Walk the dog out a little bit. All right, we'll take that to the other side. So step forward with your right foot. Left knee comes to the floor. And we'll start just with that lunge for a few breaths, aligning your ankle below the knee. And just see if shoulders are coming to the ears, try to soften them down the back body. Breathing into that right hip. And then with your next exhalation, we'll take the hands to the hips and we'll do our little hamstring stretch, flexing that foot. And then we'll flow with those two movements. Inhale into the lunge, and exhale back to the hamstring stretch. Inhale, and exhale. So on your own a few more times. All right, one more here. We'll come back to the lunge, and then we'll do our twist variation. So left hand comes to the floor and right arm extends towards the ceiling. Beautiful, one more breath. Good, release that arm down. We're gonna come back to downward facing dog, so tuck those left toes under. Releasing that right foot back. And then begin to walk the feet towards your hands, again coming into a forward fold. Now make our way up to standing through Uttanasana, chair pose. So bend your knees and bring your arms overhead. From chair, we're going to come into flying bird. So come onto your toes, wings come behind, gaze to the floor for balance. Back down to chair pose. Stay with your breath, building strength. Flying bird.
This is a great thing for stabilizing.
Exhale back to chair.
Somebody getting a shower soon.
It does. And then waterfall, you're going to straighten your legs, palms to the ceiling, lift through your heart. So imagine a little string at the heart center. Lifting through the heart. And then exhale, release the arms down. Maybe release your blanket to the side. We're going to do a couple standing poses. So take both feet to the front of your mat. And then take a large step back with your right foot. Just make sure if your socks are still on that you're not slipping on the mat. Otherwise, take your socks off. So front toes will face the front edge of the mat. Your back foot has a 45-degree angle. Toes are angling towards that front body here. We're going to do warrior one. So here we're going to square the hips towards that front foot. Inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, bend into that front knee for Virabhadrasana 1, warrior pose.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yes, blessings. So that right hip is rolling back as your, that left hip is rolling back as your right hip is rolling forward. Shifting into warrior two, take the arms to a T, and the pelvis will shift a little towards the side of your mat. So we still have a bend in that front knee. Warrior four, we're going to turn that left palm facing up, release the left hand towards the ceiling as the right hand comes behind the leg. Good. Inhale back to warrior two, and then exhale side angle. Left elbow comes to the front thigh, right arm comes all the way overhead, palm to the floor. Good. Inhale back to warrior two. And then we'll shift back to warrior one. Take the pelvis towards that front leg. Good. Lower the arms. We're going to step forward with that foot. And then step back with your left foot. Switcheroo to the other side. Okay, inhale the arms overhead and then bend into that front knee. Virabhadrasana 1. Keep rooting the outer edge of your back foot to the floor. Shifting to warrior two, take the arms to a T. Stay with your breath. Transitioning to warrior four, turning your right palm facing up, release the right hand towards the ceiling, left hand comes gently behind the leg. Keep pressing both feet into the earth, find that strength in the legs. Inhale back to warrior two, and then exhale side angle, right elbow to the thigh, left arm comes all the way overhead. Inhale back to warrior two, and then shift the pelvis back to warrior one. Hands can come to the hips, and then jump, hop, step forward. Good, shake out your legs a little bit. We're gonna do tree pose, Virabhadrasana for our balancing pose this morning. Starting on your right side, spread out the toes on your right foot, and just start to balance on that leg. Many options for that left foot. Tiptoes can just come to the floor. Toes can come to the low ankle. Below your knee or above the knee, not over your knee. So see which foot variation feels good. Keep a little bend in that standing knee rather than locking in that knee. Also want to bring a little slight tuck of the pelvis. We're engaging these lower belly muscles. Arms could be at a low V, they could be out to a T, they could be at the heart. I like to focus my eyes on something on the floor for balance. Other students like to look across the room. But focus your gaze on something that isn't moving, can sometimes help with balance. And breathing. Stay here if you'd like. If you want to try a variation, arms overhead into temple, extending your index fingers. Beautiful balance. let's exhale, hands back to the heart. And lower that leg down. Rotate that ankle you were just on a few times in each direction. And then we'll take that over to our other side. Spread toes on your left foot. Tiptoe ankle below the knee, above the knee. See which arm variation feels good. If you're feeling extra wobbly, out to a T will give you that most support. Little softness in that standing knee. Bring a smile to the face, helping to relax the muscles in the jaw. And to express a little joy for doing yoga today. Good job, everyone. And then staying here, arms overhead into temple. Wonderful. Exhale the hands back to the heart. Lower that leg down, rotating your ankle a few times in each direction. All right, we're going to come onto our backs. You might want to put your blanket back down so you have some more cushioning. All right, let's use this leg for your corners, your awesome corners, and lower down. And when you find your way on the floor, take your feet to the side edges of the mat so knees are bent. Arms will come out to a T, palms to the floor, and just sway the legs side to side like windshield wipers on a car. Inhale to one side and exhale to the other. And then let's turn this into a little twist flow by looking in the opposite direction of your knees. So as your legs fall to the left side, look to your left hand. And then legs to the left as you gaze to the right hand. And then the next time your legs are over on your right side, let's release them to the floor for a double knee down twist. Looking in the opposite direction of your knees. And try to just allow the weight of your legs to release towards gravity. Sensing your breath.
Sometimes I'll use my right ankle to pull the left knee down a bit more for a longer stretch.
Yep. I was going to offer that in a moment. So variation if you want, take that right foot to the top of the left knee, making a fan with the legs. And like Wright said, that'll lengthen out that quadricep a little bit more on that left side. All right, release the feet back to the side edge. Let's go side to side a few more times. Keeping that spine nice and flexible. And then the next time your legs land over to your left side, we'll come into a double knee down twist. We'll start here for a few breaths and then we can move into that variation. Making sure your shoulder blades are sinking into the floor. Mentally affirm, my body is healthy and strong. And then take that left foot to the top of the right knee if you want to increase that stretch in the right quadricep a little bit more. One more breath. One last time. Take your feet to the sides of the mat, side to side 3 times with a twist flow. Good. Come back to center. Take the soles of your feet together so the knees will come out to the side. And then bring your arms into cactus arms. So bending at that T, just bend your elbows. So palms are facing up to the ceiling. Your forearms should be comfortable resting on the floor. If your forearms or the backs of the hands are not on the floor, then just keep your arms out to a T. Reclined butterfly pose, so definitely adductors, hip flexors, the groin. This is a great pose for recovery. As best as you can, just allow the weight of your whole body to sink into the floor and the earth. Two more breaths. And then gently bringing the knees back towards each other. We'll take the knees into the chest, or bring a hand to each knee. We're going to make circles with the knees, moving, starting in a clockwise position. can also just keep the arms alongside the body if you don't want to have the hands at the knees. Massaging the sacrum and the low back. And the next time your knees come towards your body, reverse directions, opposite way. Good. Bring the knees back to the chest. We'll take both hands interlaced around the right knee and extend your left leg to the floor for Apanasana pose. So align your right knee with your right shoulder and bring a flexion to your left foot. Let the shoulder blades release to the floor. You might want to tuck the chin a little bit towards the chest to lengthen out the neck. Send some breath down into the right hip. And then 5 ankle circles in each direction, in both directions with that right foot. Good. Release the ankle circles. Extend the right leg up towards the ceiling for just a few breaths, interlacing behind the thigh or the quad, but not right behind the knee. Keep a little softness and flexion in the knee. Loving those hamstrings. One more breath here. And then point the right toes. Exhale as you lower that leg to the floor. And then inhale the left knee towards the left shoulder for Apanasana. You can interlace on top of the knee or underneath the knee along the hamstrings. Flex your right foot to engage that side. And then see if you want to tuck the chin or not for the cervical spine. Enjoying some more deep breaths. And then 5 ankle circles in each direction with your left foot. And releasing ankle circles, we'll extend the left leg up towards the ceiling for one final hamstring stretch this morning. Keep a little bend in the knee. One more breath. And then point the toes. Exhale as you lower that leg to the floor. Turn the palms to the ceiling alongside your hips. Close your eyes if that's okay, or just cast the gaze. We'll just enjoy 1 minute of silence for relaxation and integration. Stay with your breath. Begin to deepen and lengthen in the breath to awaken your body. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Stretch the arms overhead into a full body stretch, reaching from tips of toes to tips of fingers, yawning, groaning, releasing. And then take your feet to the floor so you can roll to your right side. Use your lower arm to support your head. You can do a couple deep breaths in fetal position. And then use strength of hands, elbows, and arms to lift yourselves up to a seated position. Let's take palms facing down on the knees, and if you're okay to close the eyes or just cast the gaze downward, come back to the rhythm of the breath. And just take a few moments to practice self-sensing, noticing any differences or changes than before we began together this morning. Take your left hand to your heart and your right hand over that hand. Just take a moment to honor yourself for taking care of yourself this morning. Just offering some positive affirmations if you want to repeat them inside your mind. I am strong. I am brave. I am resilient. I am courageous. I am beautiful. We'll end with 3 collective breaths. Take a deep breath in. Another deep breath. One more final breath. Releasing your hands to your lap. Thank you so much.
Thank you.